Hey folks! This is Momo bringing you another exciting video. I hope you all had a safe and fun Halloween. In this segment, we will be looking at 10 2D linear beat-em-up arcade games and 1 stinker. These are total of 11 arcade games that you may or may not know existed. It's obvious I like to cover popular games, but I also like to cover obscure games that people hardly talk about. I consider them different from side-scroller run and gun or platformers, for they will be covered in a separate list in the future. As per usual, only one game per franchise, so there won't be 2 Spartan X games in one list. Nostalgia factor is very high with this one, so buckle up, get your favorite snacks and drinks, I like beer by the way, and ascertain this issue, shall we? My first impression of this game was the main protagonist of this game strongly resembled Yamcha from Toriyama Akira's Dragon Ball. The elderly gentleman you rescue is a spitting image of Master Roshi. All the bosses are straight out of Fist of the North Star villains. So basically, this game is a mashup of 2 very popular 80s Japanese comic book franchise. Having said all that, Kuri Kinten is a basic side-scroller beat-em-up that can be fun but frustrating. The hit detection on this game is a hit or miss. I could swear that the kick landed on the enemy, but more often than not, the kick goes right through the enemy character. The linear gameplay resembles a lot of games like Spartan X or Vigilante, where you use your punch and kick to defeat enemies. A version of this game was translated to the Taito Legends 2 compilations for various consoles to a very tepid reception. This game can provide you a lot of enjoyment, but this game will bring you enjoyment in short bursts. I like this version of Superman a lot. It's light years ahead of that awful piece of shit N64 Superman game. The character sprite on this game is very detailed, exuding the heroic disposition of the main character. The hit detection is pretty tight and the John Williams Superman theme is very recognizable. This game never saw a home console release, most likely due to licensing issues. I really wish they would have brought this game to a 16-bit console. Or hell, they should have just brought this game and chucked that piece of shit N64 Superman game altogether. You should emulate this game. This game can be emulated with no flaws, even on an older computer or less powerful mobile devices. Known as Crude Buster in other parts of the world, 2 Crude is a 2-player side-scrolling beat-em-up game. The gimmick with this game is that you can pick up virtually anything, from signage, metal pipes to a boulder. Even a vehicle is fair game. I remember playing this game on my Sega Genesis with my best buddy at the time. The Genesis version of this game was really well done. This was definitely as good as it gets, trying to achieve an arcade experience right at home. A loose, card-only version of this game will put you back about $27 to $33, while the CIB will go up to $100. Is it worth the asking price? Just emulate the damn arcade game.
I'd buy that for $1.
I had to throw that in there. In my previous videos, I have stressed many times that a lot of movie-based video games aren't very good. This game is an exception. It's that good old Data East graphics and that satisfying hit sound. It uses the same arcade board as Bad Dudes. This game is very faithful to the movie, with a beautifully rendered ED-209 as the first stage boss. This game saw so many conversions, which was helmed by the notoriously awful Ocean Software. A good amount of them are for home computers. There was no perfect port or even emulated home console conversions for this game. If you want the definitive way to experience the arcade game, you should emulate this game. This game will run on any system, including that old HP computer your grandma has in her kitchen.
Thank you.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
This game was originally called Ugon no Shiro in Japanese. It was translated as Golden Castle. This game was developed by a not-so-well-known company called Alamer and was published by a very well-known company called Taito. I actually like this game. The swordplay mechanics is very fun and addicting. When a piece of armor of your foe gets knocked out, that metal clanging sound sounds really satisfying. The graphics are gorgeous, and with huge character sprites, this game aged really well. There have been a bevy of conversion to home computers, but there has been absolutely no arcade to home system port of this game. Not even to the recently released Egret 2 Mini. A sequel called Blandia was released 6 years later as a one-on-one fighting game. Are you a bad enough dude to rescue Ronnie? Bad Dudes is a game developed and produced in-house by Data East. I am sure many of you will remember the NES version of this more than the arcade game. Supposedly, this game is a prequel to a game that we covered earlier called Too Crude. Honestly, this game is different, that I don't consider this game a prequel. Both are good games, but honestly, I like Bad Dudes a little better. There have been a shit ton of home computer port of this game, and majority of them are pretty awful. Recently, Data East released their arcade collection compilation game for various systems, including Steam. If you want to support the developers who made this game, getting the collection compilation may be the best way to experience the arcade. If you're a cheap-ass pup like me, just emulate the damn game. Spartan X was very loosely based on the 1984 film, Wheels on Meals, which oddly enough was labeled as Spartan X in Japan. The movie starred Jackie Chan as Thomas. Game emphasizes on the last part of the movie where the protagonist climbs a tower to rescue the lovely Sylvia. I honestly never saw a connection because this game more resembled Bruce Lee's Game of Death. Despite all that, this game is very iconic. The westernized name for this game is simply Kung Fu Master. It would be a direct inspiration for many great games such as Street Fighters and even Toriyama Akira's Dragon Ball, especially the Red Ribbon Army saga. There was a very close arcade-to-home port on the Sega Saturn and PlayStation in the Irem Arcade Classics compilation. I honestly like the aforementioned better than the arcade original because of tighter controls and more vibrant colors. But I am pretty sure the version you remember is the NES version. The NES version of this game was an absolutely fantastic translation, which was helmed by none other than Nintendo's very own Shigeru Miyamoto. Apparently, there's a prototype of the arcade sequel supposedly named Beyond Kung Fu was made, but was scrapped. It was basically Spartan X with an updated graphics. The music of the game was a different variation of the main theme from the first game. Instead, they remade it for the Famicom called Spartan X2. I've never tried the game before. I think you'll give it a go. This is a spiritual sequel to the previous game on our list. The graphics on this game have gotten a massive makeover. You're a lone, nameless martial artist in the slums of New York, simply known as the Vigilante, out to save Madonna. No, not that Madonna. From the clutches of skinheads. The formula is the same. You travel through 5 linear levels, beating foot soldiers, thugs, gunmen, and dudes with knives and 2x4s. There are end bosses at end of every stages. Unlike the first game, you have an arsenal that will aid you through your quest. The trusty nunchucks, giving nod to the legendary Bruce Lee. The hit detection is precise and the control is very tight. Sound of impact is very satisfying. This game was heralded as one of the most difficult games in gaming history. This game was high in this list because of the tight control and the fun factor. It's a run-of-the-mill side-scrolling beat MUPS, but it's a very fun game. There was a really damn good translation of this game for the TurboGrafx 16. That is the most popular one, but this game saw some really shitty computer ports as well. If you're a purist and is looking for the physical media, the Lusu card for the TurboGrafx will run you $17 loose to $50. As I can't stress this enough, just emulate the arcade game. You won't be disappointed. This is a clear and obvious inspiration of the Indiana Jones franchise. I didn't know this game existed until I recently came across this game from one of umpteenth Best of Arcade YouTube videos recently. After playing it for a while, I really liked it and thought this game should be in the list of top 10 side-scrolling beat-em-ups. You are the titular character Edward Randy.
Do I make you horny? Randy?
Do I make you Randy? Yeah.
And you're out to rescue Charlotte, who holds a prism stone that the antagonist dictator, Dark Ogre, covets. Just like Indiana Jones, the story takes place in the World War II era, albeit a different than the epic we remember. This game was never ported to a home console of any kind, not even as a part of a compilation or collection. You should emulate this game, and this is one very enjoyable game. Very gem that should garner more notoriety. Before I reveal the best game in this list, if you thought my content was worthy of your entertainment and would like to see future contents like this, please consider subscribing. While you're at it, hit the like and notification bell to be notified of future contents. I post weekly. And now, without further ado, the #1 spot. Cannon Dancer is a love letter from many ex-Capcom staff who were responsible for a phenomenal arcade game called Strider. One of them being Kuchi Yatsui, who was well known under the pseudonym Isuke. Isuke was the designer and director of Cannon Dancer. Known in the States as Osman, this is one fantastic game that no one really talks about. Many ideas and design choices have been borrowed from Strider, but it's unique enough to hold its own. This game was never ported over to a home console until recently. A commercial stating that this game will be digitally released to various consoles including the Switch, Xbox Series S/X, PlayStation 5 and Steam has been on recently. If you haven't played this game, you should seriously consider emulating this game and experience it firsthand. I can't give enough superlatives for this game. Well, there you have it. Top 10 side-scroller beat 'em up games and one stinker. Did I nail it? Did I hit the mark? Do you agree with the list? I will be covering more of this same topic in future episodes. What are your favorite side-scroller beat 'em ups that I have not covered? Tell us in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this content and thought it was worthy of your subscription, I implore you to consider subscribing. While you're at it, give that like button a nice smash and tick that bell for notification to get notified of future contents. It takes a lot of work producing these videos and your support is greatly appreciated. This is the only way my itty whittle bitty channel can grow. Now, I am going to take my editor for a walk. He's been holding his pee for hours on end, trying to finish this episode. With that said, this is Momo bidding you a fond sayonara. Take care, all of you.